Hello everyone, welcome to a really short Star Wars Old Republic video, and this video was actually requested in the comment section of one of my videos, and I thought it was actually a great video to do. It's not going to take a lot of time, and I think it's going to be really helpful for some players. And I'm going to be talking about just basically the servers, what are my favorite servers, why I think they're good servers, and the different types of servers, which if some people who are coming new to SWTOR, or for some people who are looking to change servers, in case they're wondering which ones to play on. And the reason I'm doing this video is because recently I actually tried playing World of Warcraft. I just wanted to try it out, see what was going on. I ended up not liking it, and so don't worry, I'm not going to be doing videos on it or devoting a lot of time to that. But when I was playing, I was totally lost. I mean, I didn't know which server to go on. I really wanted to be on a highly populated server, and I chose a server that apparently said really high population. It said it was almost full, and then when I was playing on the server, there was almost no one anywhere. Like, no one was talking in the chat, no one was running around, there was no one to group with. It was terribly boring. And I just remember that feeling of how lost I was, and I can't imagine how lost someone might be coming to SWTOR and not knowing which server to go on. I mean, imagine if someone came onto SWTOR and said, "Oh, I like to PvP," and then decided to go on the Bastion, because the Bastion is a dead server. So if anyone went on that, then they would really soon find that the queue pops take a long time. There aren't many people to group with. Flashpoint queue pops are probably non-existent on that server. I haven't been there for a long time, but when I left, it was entirely dead. Everyone had moved to the Harbinger. And so that's why I decided to do this video, because I think it's going to be really helpful for those new players. Alright, so getting into it, these are the North American servers, and the North American servers are the one that I am most comfortable talking about because I have played on a lot of them. As you guys can see, I have characters on a ton of them. I have not only played the GTN there, tried to see the economies of different servers and stuff like that, but also I've kind of started some characters on them as well. And it should come as no surprise, the server I play on is the Harbinger, and it is my absolute favorite server. Now, the reason I think it's the best server are basically, number one, it has the highest population. Maybe not numbers wise, but it has a lot of active players, and it has a really high population. And that's reflected in the GTN as well, which is once again another kind of favorite aspect of this server, which is that the prices on this server drop very low. And a lot of people will often look at my videos and go, "Oh, how are you getting such good deals?" And then they'll realize it's just kind of because I'm on the Harbinger server and I'm able to buy really nice things at very cheap prices. And the obvious downside is, if you're trying to sell items, you usually won't get the best deal for them. But I think it's better to buy cheap items rather than thinking about selling it. So that's why I absolutely love the Harbinger. Flashpoint queue pops happen very frequently. Warzone queue pops happen very frequently as well. So if you want to play Warzones in PvP, the Harbinger is a great place to be. And as you guys can see, there are really no denominations for a PvP server, a roleplay server anymore. Now we have those kind of phases that you can enter already in servers. And so there's no reason to go ahead and go on different servers just because, for example, the Bastion used to be a PvP server. So a lot of people would go on that server if they wanted to be hardcore PvPers. But I can tell you right now, a lot of the people are on the Harbinger right now who are very good PvPers and very skilled and everything like that. And there's a huge ranked community there as well. A lot of people do ranked PvP on the Harbinger. So overall, I think it's a very good place to be. The Begeron Colony is a pretty decent server in that it has a decent population. Now, it's not highly populated. I've been there, I've been on the Republic fleet and stuff. I've tried to sell things as well. And it is not a really good server to be on if you want the most highly populated server. If you want Warzone pops as frequent as they possibly can be, if you want to do as many flashpoints as you possibly can do, the Begeron Colony is not the best place to be. What it's good for is for people who like to level, and they want people there, they want people to group with, but they don't want it to be the most populated servers, because I do know there are player bases out there who don't want to be on a highly populated server, who don't want to be running around on a planet and just seeing tons of people roaming around everywhere. Some people just like to play on servers where there's not such a high population. So the Begeron Colony is actually very good for that, because on one hand it doesn't have a terribly high population, you won't feel crowded, but on the other hand it still has enough players that you can still play Warzones and you can still group up for group content and stuff. So that's a good server for that. The other kind of good thing is the GTN, while you will still get sales, what I have found is you can usually sell them for much higher than you can sell them on other servers. Like, for example, I usually sell things for 2 to 3 times more than what I would sell them for on the Harbinger server. And the good thing is it actually sells. It's not one of those instances where you put it up on the GTN hoping to get a ton of sales, and then you don't actually get any of them, which is what happens on servers like the Bastion, which are basically dead servers. because it's a dead server, there aren't many things to put up on the GTN. And if you're wondering why I'm talking so much about the GTN, that's basically what a lot of my videos revolve around. It's about how to make credits, how to sell things on the GTN, and a lot of videos revolving around that, and cartel market items and stuff. But yeah, the Bastion is a terrible place for that, because while things go up for terribly high prices, nothing ever sells because it's a dead server. There aren't a lot of people on it. And the other thing is, and that's why I would not suggest that at all. It doesn't have a very high population, although it used to be a very hardcore PvP server. I think that's gone now. And so that's one of those servers you probably want to stay away from. Now, I'll be the one to say this, I'm not too familiar with all these other servers. I haven't played on them long enough to really make a definitive decision. However, if you are looking for an East Coast server, I would suggest you go on the Ebon Hawk. The Ebon Hawk seems to be one of the most highly populated servers. There's a really large population there, and so that's obviously going to be great for people who want to play war zones and do group content. The other servers I'm not so sure about. I do know Jungma is a dead server as well. So given that, I'm pretty sure, Prophecy of the Five, Shadowlands, Jedi Covenant, they might not be entirely dead servers, but they probably aren't going to have, the highest population. So the Ebon Hawk is a really good East Coast server for anyone who wants to be on the East Coast. Now my talk about the European servers is going to be very, very short because I just haven't really been on any of them. As you guys can see, I have a character on the Progenitor and the Red Eclipse, and I have found that those are some of the best European servers. The Tomb of Friedenad seems okay. Everything else I haven't even tried because it's German and French, and so those are for a very limited number of players. However, the Red Eclipse seems to be the best European server. I know a lot of other YouTubers and people that play on the Red Eclipse, and it seems to be really highly populated, a lot of fun to be on, and I put a lot of emphasis on high populations because this is obviously an MMO, and so what that means is there's a ton of group content, and there's a ton of stuff where you need to incorporate large groups of players. You can't be on a dead server and hope to PvP because you won't ever get any Warzone pops, and so you need to be on a highly populated server to do a lot of the fun things in an MMO. And the Red Eclipse, it seems to be one of the most highly populated servers on the European side. And so that's definitely a server that I would recommend for anyone who's in Europe and wants to be on a European server. So that's just my really quick rundown of the servers, and for any new players who are new to SWTOR, hopefully you found this video helpful, and hopefully you'll be able to choose a better server given this knowledge. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one.